1978 to 2002. That is 24 long years. It is more than a life sentence of conviction in common understanding. In 1978, a baby was born in India, and in 2002, the works of the pioneer of the technique through which the baby was born was recognized for the first time. The name of the baby was Durga, aka Kanupriya Agarwal. The technique was IVF and the person was Dr Subhash Mukherjee. Today, we bring to you the fateful story of Dr Subhash Mukherjee, whose seminal work in the IVF in India was recognized much later, years after he committed suicide due to a witch hunt launched against him. For 24 long years, his works were derided, laughed at, not believed by his colleagues, while scientists from West were being awarded Nobel Prize and were taking credits for works in the same. Dr. Mukherjee had used a method called cryopreservation to preserve the human embryo. He pioneered it in 1978 in India at his house using a refrigerator. India's first official test tube baby, Harsha, was also born by this method in 1986, but Dr. Mukherjee had successfully used this method 8 years back. Barely a little over 2 months after the world's first test tube baby was born, Dr. Mukherjee had claimed that he had successfully created India's first test tube baby. But his claims were never taken seriously, and instead he became the subject of vendetta politics and bureaucratic apathy. He was also questioned for going to the media without bureaucratic approval and creating a test tube baby with simple tools inside his home. After his sensational claim, West Bengal government set up a committee to examine his assertions. The expert committee was presided over by a radiologist and comprising of a gynecologist, a psychiatrist, and a neurologist who knew absolutely nothing of modern reproductive technology. The committee members and the gynecologist lobby were bent on destroying this man and not recognizing his works. The committee concluded that his claims were false, not credible, termed his claims a fraud and him to be a fraudster. This then set in motion a barrage of constant and heavy criticism. He was denied permission to travel to Japan, where he had been invited to discuss his work. In a final act of humiliation, he was transferred to the Regional Institute of Ophthalmology, Kolkata in June 1981. Facing social stigma, ridicule and hostility from every quarter, including his fellow scientists, doctors and general public, he committed suicide a few months later in his home. In 1990, the famous Bengali film director Tapan Sinha had made a movie named Ek Doctor Ki Maut that was said to be based on the real-life story of Dr. Subhash Mukherjee. His works were obscured up until the time when a close associate of Dr. Subhash Mukherjee, Dr. Suneet Mukherjee, shared his notes with Professor T.C. Anand Kumar, the man hailed to be the official pioneer of IVF in India. When he read the notes shared by Dr. Suneet Mukherjee, he immediately knew that it was Dr. Subhash Mukherjee who should have been credited with creating India's first test tube baby. T.C. Anand Kumar, as the former director of the Institution of Research in Reproduction at the Indian Council of Medical Research, was also in a position to exonerate Dr. Mukherjee of the fraud charges. It was due to his efforts in 2002 that ICMR recognized his work for the first time, and Dr. Subhash Mukherjee's contributions were finally recognized. 40 years after his death, that is in 2021, West Bengal government also finally recognized his work. The works of a torchbearer in an aspect as vital and significant as IVF technique was recognized too late, and only several years after he committed suicide. Thanks for watching. Like, subscribe and hit the bell icon for more such interesting updates.
Subscribe to Oneindia channel and never miss an update.